that money may not be 100% safe, right? And there's always the very remote chance that the bank may go under, the bank may go bust, and you may lose your fixed deposits, all right? And of course, therefore, there's a need for the bank to buy insurance, all right? That's the purpose of the deposit insurance and so forth, all right? And if you have a lot of money in fixed deposits, you need to be concerned with the kind of deposit insurance that you will get back should a bank go bust, right? So information that this structured deposit is not an insured deposit for the purpose of that particular act in terms of deposit insurance and policy owners protection schemes, right? So moving very quickly then, past and future performance, we have done a bit of that earlier, so I do not want to repeat that. Just to mention that you should not, the financial advisor or the exam financial advisor should not use the past performance to forecast or to predict future performance, right? And of course, you need to caveat it and say that, look, not necessarily indicative of the future performance. And so it's the same with the manager or whatever person you rely on. All right, any comparison, you must clear warnings that not necessarily indicative. All right, so then I will move on. Again, the same thing. 3.12, all right, this section 27 again, all right, recommendation basis, always it must be reasonable, all right, and then know your client, needs analysis, and etc. will apply, and then warning, right, so I'll move on with that one. Okay, then D3 talks about screening every client seeking to invest in any structured deposit. All right, and you cast your eye down the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 line, right? So again, they are emphasizing this point. This is because early termination may result in the loss of the principal sum, and such clients may only be able to recover the value of the underlying financial instruments, and therefore important for them to have a good understanding of how these instruments work. All right, then training and competency, paragraph E there talks about the importance of the financial advisor have the knowledge, have the expertise, have the experience to advise client on structured deposits. All right. So 3.18, structured deposits often involve underlying financial instruments that are complex and difficult to understand. As such, any advice regarding a structured deposit should be made by a person who is equipped, all right, with the necessary expertise to offer the advice. As a general rule, the more complex a structured deposit is, a structured product is, the better trained the representative must be. All right? And of course, 3.19 gives you some example. All right. So if this representative meets the training and competency requirements under the CMAS, all right, then under the notice of minimum entry requirements for representatives. All right. So you must have minimum academic qualifications, and you must have passed all the module 5 and the module 8 or whatever modules you have. So if you have passed all those examinations under the CMFAS examination requirements, then you are deemed to be qualified to be able to advise on structured deposits. Okay? So therefore, it's important for the financial advisor or the exam financial advisor to make sure that people who are providing advice on structured deposits or recommending structured deposits, they know what they are doing, right? So if it comes to a crux where the customer complains and he loses money, then he looks at the financial advisor representative, and this guy is not even trained or doesn't know much about structured deposits, then there will be a big issue for the financial advisor or the exam financial advisor. Alright, so that's in terms of training and competency. Now then paragraph F talks about fit and proper criteria, which we have done quite a lot, so I'm not going to go there anymore. Now G talks about segregation of activity. Now this is very important, right? Especially when you have an exam financial advisor, a bank or a finance company or some other exam financial advisors that does financial advisory services or recommending clients to invest in structured products. Now this is important, so look at G, segregation of activities. That's under 3.21. Now structured deposits should be distinguished from traditional fixed deposits to ensure that clients are not misled into believing that the returns and risks on structured deposits are similar to traditional fixed deposit. Now, there's often the confusion that in the early days, right, when structured deposits first came to Singapore. I mean, structured deposits are not new. Right? They are quite advanced and quite prevalent in New York and London and some of the other financial centers. All right. So when it came into Singapore some 10, 15 years back, I guess, we are still very new to this. All right, and people tend to confuse the two. All right, in terms of structured deposits and traditional fixed deposits. Now, 322 says to achieve this distinction, any financial advisor that's also a deposit-taking institution, i.e. a bank or a finance company, when advising on any structured deposits, underline this, should ensure that the marketing and the advisory process for such structured deposit is distinct from the process to which a client's funds are accepted. Now, this actually was an issue some time back, right? Some 10, 15 years back. Employees in the deposit-taking area who are not qualified to provide advice or investment products, such as bank tellers, should not be involved in the marketing or offering any of the recommendation in relation to any structured deposit. All right, in the last 10, 15 years, we have seen issues, we have seen complaints about bank tellers and junior bank officers, all right, giving advice to customers to buy structured deposits or structured products. All right. And in this case, these people, I mean, with due respect, the bank tellers and the junior officers who just joined the bank 6 months ago, they really do not know much about these structured deposits. All right, and you start marketing and selling and advising retail clients in particular on these structured deposits, then allegations of mis-selling will surely appear. Right. So here 3.22 is very clear. All right, that if an exempt financial advisor, namely a bank or a finance company, wants to go into this kind of business, it must be separate. All right, traditional deposit taking is definitely different and distinct from the marketing and the advising on structured deposits. Okay, so I think I've done enough of that. Now, just one final thing, 3.24 under H of this particular guideline. In relation to section H, right, paragraph 3.23 above, right, a booth or a roadshow location where applications for structured deposits are received will be considered a new place of business or a bank branch, for which, underline this one, the relevant bank will have to seek prior approval of the MAS, of the Banking Act. Right? Well, what this means is that when you have a bank who sets up a booth in, say, in a supermarket or in an MRT station and to market and to provide advice on structured deposit, you must get approval from the MAS, all right? And this is considered a new place of business or a bank branch, right? So there are some restrictions there in trying to distinguish, right, between traditional deposit taking and structured deposits. So that is clear, I hope, in terms of paragraph 3 of chapter 10 in relation to the guideline on structured deposits.